Hello creators, welcome back to another video. Today we're making a super sweet project from the collection Sweet Talk. This comes from the January through June 2022 mini catalog. We cased this cute little project from the catalog on page 8, and we are using one of the sweet little boxes. We're also using the Real Red Faux Linen ribbon along with the Sweet Conversations bundle. Here I'm picking out the label die and the heart die to go along with our project today. We are also using the Sweet Talk 12x12 designer series paper, and I'm picking the same one that they used in the catalog. And this side looks gorgeous. I'm kind of terrified to cut into it, but that's what we need to do, right? We need to use our paper. So here I'm just going around the little box edges and folding down all of those creases. And then I'm going to peel back the little tape area and stick the box together. I tried to do this very carefully so that I didn't put it together wonky. I think I did a pretty good job. They go together really nicely, so that was a bonus. It's such a cute box and I can't wait to fill it up with some Valentine's goodies. To put the wrap and the paper on the outside, I did measure several times, but I'm going to show you a really easy way where you don't have to do a lot of math. So I started with a piece of Highland Heather cardstock, and the length of the box was just under 3¼ inches. So I cut it just a little bit shy of that so that I could still see the top and bottom of the box. And I wanted to make sure I cut it lengthwise so I had the longest piece I could get. Then I took the designer series paper and I cut it just like maybe 1/4 inch smaller than the Highland Heather piece, just so that you could see the Highland Heather over that. Once I was done cutting those pieces, I wanted to get everything cut out for the embellishments on top. I used the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine to run the little tag through on a piece of Blushing Bride cardstock. I am a huge fan of this little machine. It's so easy to have on my desk to cut out little pieces like this. I took the end of that Highland Heather strip that I cut and I just punched out that little heart shape from the same die set. And then I took that same piece and I wrapped it around my box so that I could just kind of figure out where I would need to score it. I lightly scored with my fingers, and then once I was done with that, I went over to my Stampin' Trimmer to get some really nice crisp score lines with the scoring blade attachment. This way of doing the wrap is so easy. You don't need to measure. You don't need to remember what you just measured. And that was my problem. I would measure so many times and just forget and have to redo it. And I really like doing it this way because you just crease where the creases need to be around your project, and then you take your bone folder and you make them nice and crisp. And it worked beautifully. So I highly recommend this method if you're not a fan of measuring or figuring out exactly where to cut. As soon as I put it back around to make sure that I scored it in the correct places, I went for my tear and tape adhesive. I absolutely love using tear and tape for projects like this because it's super strong and I hardly ever have a problem with it popping open. After I put that on, I just laid my piece back down and glued it together, and it fit wonderfully. I repeated this same exact process with the designer series paper, and it went on just beautifully. I did want to take a moment to let you guys know that this is part of a creator's blog hop for the month of January. Make sure you go to the description box down below and click on the link to head over to my blog so that you can see everybody else's creations that they made for this blog hop today. It would also really help me out if you hit that subscribe button, click the like on the video, and leave me a comment letting me know what your favorite product from the new mini catalog is. So after I got this piece of designer series paper all cut and scored, I went ahead and did the same process as with the Highland Heather. I took a piece of my amazing tear and tape adhesive and I put that on the wrong side of the DSP, and then I just folded it on top of itself and it just came together so beautifully. Now that I had this part done, it was time to start the embellishments on the top. I used my Blushing Bride ink pad and the more solid, but it has kind of a fun texture to it, heart from the stamp set, and I stamped that onto a scrap of Whisper White cardstock. After that, I took my Real Red ink pad and one of the hearts that had a little saying on it, and I think I used the one that said "You're cute," and I thought that was cute, so I stamped that on top of the solid heart. I brought the mini cutting machine back onto the table, and I ran the heart that I just stamped through with one of the heart dies from the coordinating set. I absolutely just love this process. It's such a tiny little machine, and it just makes me happy because it's so cute and it's really convenient. Next up, I took some of the Real Red faux linen ribbon, and it was a brand new roll, and I always love cutting off that little plastic bit for the brand new rolls. I measured out a length of ribbon to go around the top, and then I snipped that off, and I attached it with, of course, some more tear and tape adhesive. This stuff is amazing for pretty much everything. So I did that on this ribbon, and I just wanted to do kind of like a band, and I decided to do a bow separate from this piece, because when I do it separately, I find that I get a much more shapely and pretty bow. My absolute favorite way to tie a bow is to do 2 little bunny ears and then pop one of those in the hole in the middle. I absolutely love this method. It comes out so beautiful every time. And then you just adjust it a little bit to fluff it up. And then I attached it again with some tear and tape adhesive after I trimmed the edges a little bit. It looked so beautiful, and I absolutely love how it came out. Finally, it was time to put the embellishments on the front, so I took the Highland Heather purple heart and I put that onto the Blushing Bride tag that I cut out earlier, and then I took a dimensional and I attached that to the back of my Conversation heart, and I put that on top of the Highland Heather heart on the tag, and it's just like the example in the catalog. It came out really cute. Then I took some linen thread and I cut a length of it, and then I ran that through my fingernail and my finger so that I could kind of get the kinks out. And once I was done with that, I doubled it up and I put the folded end through the hole on the tag, and then I threaded the tails through the loop, and then I pulled it tight, and then I just had this cute little tag. Using the tails of the linen thread, I slid that underneath the band that I made with the ribbon around the box, and then I just double knotted it and I trimmed off the extra tail bits at the end. I wanted to leave a little bit so that it kind of had a little bit more texture and interest to all of the pieces that I added to this, but I cut them short enough that they didn't look too funny. And then I took a couple of dimensionals and I put those on top of the box at an angle so that I could put the tag on top of that and just pop it up a little bit, but still keep it stationary so it didn't go anywhere. And then, of course, I had to add a little bit of bling. So I got these beautiful iridescent rhinestone basic jewels, and I put a couple of those on the tag. Now, I didn't see these rhinestones on the sample in the catalog. They may have been there. I just couldn't see it very well, but I wanted to add them because they're so stinking cute. What do you guys think? If you love this project, you're going to love the next few projects that I'm planning, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out. You can also find me on all of the social medias, including TikTok. I've been on TikTok for a while with my other business, but I have created a MKre8tions for TikTok. I'm making a TikTok here, so it's a little behind the scenes sneak peek at how I film my TikToks. And if you head over there, you can follow me and I will give you a follow back. So if you want to see the end result of this TikTok, stay tuned.